The My Ford University Podcast, episode 25. Hey everyone, welcome back to My Ford University Podcast. I'm George Sloan, founder and dean of myforduniversity.com, where we strip away the fluff, ditch the outdated rules, and talk about how to win in a world that's moving faster than ever. Today's episode, Non-Conformity. Sometimes it's okay to be different. And I want to start with something I've said before, and I'll say it again. If you follow the crowd, you'll end up where the crowd goes. And right now, that crowd is heading into a mountain of student debt, jobs that don't fulfill them, if they can even get them, and a future that doesn't look anything like what they were promised. But that doesn't have to be your story. Not if you're willing to be different. Let's break this down. All right, we're going to talk about the myth of the middle, if you will. So there's a story we've all been told, and you probably know it by heart. It's been told over and over again all across the country. Go to college, pick a respectable major, get a quote-unquote safe job, climb the ladder, retire at 65. That was the plan. And maybe it worked once, but today it's broken. We live in a world where AI is rewriting job descriptions faster than HR can update them in the PDFs. Where information is everywhere, but wisdom is rare. And where skills, not degrees, are the new currency. Think about that. And yet most people are still willing to follow the old script. Why? Because it's what they've been taught. It feels safe, quote unquote. It feels normal, quote unquote. But let me ask you something. When did normal become the goal? Conformity isn't always a smart move. Now look, I'm not saying all conformity is bad. We should all conform to things like hygiene, please, lawful behavior, please, and basic human decency, please. But what about conformity that keeps you small? Like staying in a job that you hate because, quote unquote, it's stable. I don't think any job is stable anymore. Going into debt for a degree that you don't need, or worse, won't even use. Following routines that don't serve you just because it's what everyone else does. Listen, you're being told by all different people who may be stuck in the old mindset. Sometimes you got to realize that this kind of conformity doesn't serve you. It cages you. It makes you easy to manage, easy to predict, and easy to replace. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize that they're doing it. They think they're making smart, mature decisions. They think they're giving you good advice. And again, it might have worked for your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, but I don't know that it's going to work now or in the future. Things are different. But at the end of the day, they're just doing what everyone else is doing and hoping it works out better for them. That kind of reminds me of the bigger fool theory. If you've ever heard that expression, someone will pay too much for something because they think someone else will come along and pay even more. Or, hey, someone else did that, so it's got to work. Meanwhile, they might have just gotten lucky, and it's a bad choice. So don't always think that going with the crowd is the right way to go. Sometimes, again, I'm not talking about being a deviant. Sometimes thinking a little differently and not going with the crowd is the better move. So here's why being different works better. Let's flip the narrative for a second. Being different isn't a liability, it's a superpower if you use it right. Let me say that again. Being different isn't a liability, it's a superpower if you use it right. And here's why. First, markets reward differentiation. If you're the same as everyone else, you're a commodity. Think about that. And when things get commoditized, they don't command as much money and reward. And incentive, right? If you're different, you're a category of one. That goes for job seekers, business owners, freelancers, everyone. If you're going into business, sometimes copying a successful model isn't a bad way to go, but some of the most successful companies are disruptors, and they disrupt the old tried and true with a new approach that's faster, better, cheaper, or some combination thereof, right? Second, the crowd is usually late. By the time everyone's rushing into a new opportunity, the smart people already left with the money. They say that about the stock market. When you start hearing your cab driver, or these days, I guess your Uber driver, talking about it, it's already too late. And I think you could even apply that to Bitcoin. It's a little late in the game. But being early feels risky, but it's actually where the leverage is. You just got to choose carefully. And you're not always going to choose right, but sometimes a little bit of risk has great reward. Third, when you do something different and it works, you build real confidence. Little wins. I always talk about the idea, get some little wins. Not fake bravado, not empty motivation, actual earned confidence. That's priceless. Because once you start to get some little wins and you get confident, you start to realize, hey, I might be able to go for the next big thing. I didn't think I could do this, and I did it, and look, I succeeded. So maybe I'll try something even bigger and bolder on the next one. So finally, on this line of thinking, being different gives you control. You stop reaching and reacting to life, and you start designing it. All right. When to be different and how to know. Let's make this actionable. Not every situation calls for rebellion. And again, I'm not talking rebellion per se or deviation, being a deviant. I'm talking about going a slightly against the grain because everyone else is being a sheep, and suddenly you see there's an opportunity to progress and move forward. So when should you go against the grain? You want to ask yourself a few questions. Is the traditional path delivering results? Does it make sense financially, emotionally, strategically? Are you doing it because you chose it or because you were told to? Be careful who you take your advice from. When you're taking advice, you want to take advice from people who have succeeded in an area that you have aspirations to succeed in yourself. Think about that one for a second. So if the answer to any of these questions feels a little shaky, it might be time to be different. Might be time to zig while the other guy is zagging. I've said that before. And here's the thing. Most high leverage areas in life need non-conformist thinking. I'm thinking about education, career choices, how you use your time, which is, by the way, the most valuable asset of all. You can make more money, but you cannot make more time. Or how you earn your income and how you solve problems. Okay? That's where smart nonconformists win. I always go back to Steve Jobs. The computer industry was very IBM centric and very big, mainframe, large situations. And Steve Jobs came along and said, you know what? I want to democratize this. I want to put a personal computer on everyone's desktop. And it was a good call. It was a risky call. It kind of went against the grain, but look at where we are today. Everyone has a computer. Hell, even your phone, the iPhone that he helped develop and create, it's a computer in and of itself. All right. Who you have to contend with. Let me warn you, if you choose to be different, you're going to face some resistance. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have doubters. You're going to have Debbie Downers. You're going to have people that are constantly, oh, what if, what if? Just because they don't think they can do it or it didn't work for them doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to work for you. I always go back to, I think of George Mack talking about high agency, and Elon Musk talking about it. If you don't violate the laws of physics, you should be able to make it possible and make it work. So Where's the resistance really going to come from? Well, first, external critics. Your family might not understand. Your friends might talk. Your coworkers might question your sanity. They'll say, oh, that's risky. That's a mistake. Why can't you do it the normal way? Does that sound familiar? Shit, I've heard that. Don't take it personally. Most of them are just reacting from fear, not from insight. I'll also tell you this, and I've mentioned this before in some of my shorts. There are people who don't want to see you succeed because if you succeed, it makes them feel more insignificant because they're not doing anything. Second, the other thing you got to deal with, your own worst enemy, you, your internal doubts and thoughts. You'll have moments where you think, what if I'm wrong? What if I fail? What if I regret this? That voice is fear too. But here's how you beat it. You take action. You prove yourself to yourself, one smart move at a time. Look, failure is not necessarily a bad thing if, big word there, you learn from it and you make adjustments and corrections and do something a little bit different and keep trying until you succeed. Okay? Failure is not a bad thing. Most success has been built on previous and prior failures. Don't forget that concept. All right. Practical ways to practice smart nonconformity. So you might be asking, so how do I actually do this? Well, here are 6 strategies to start practicing smart, strategic nonconformity today. And around here, myforduniversity.com, everything we talk about is when you learn something new, apply it immediately. So the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. 1, audit your current choices. Were you following the crowd without thinking? Name it. Call it out. Okay? 2, define your actual goals. Not what your parents want, not what society told you to want, what you actually want. And when it comes to traditional higher education, you're going to get a lot of pressure from family, friends, guidance counselors, teachers. It really depends on what you want. Define your goals. Okay, 3, invest in skills, not just credentials. Learn to solve real problems. I can't tell you enough how important problem solving is. You also want to learn how to sell. You want to learn how to lead. Don't just be a manager. I've talked about this, and I'll probably talk about it in a broader concept at myforduniversity.com. When it comes to most people, everyone says, oh, I want to be in management. Well, don't strive to be a manager. A manager is appointed and, directs things. You want to work towards becoming a leader. A leader leads by example. A leader empowers and entrusts the people that report to them. And they are not a boss. They are not a manager. They are a visionary. They help people unblock, and they help their people succeed. And when their people succeed, a true leader succeeds. Again, we're going to do a broader discussion of that one too. Also, learn to create results that matter. Okay? Number 4, let's build proof. Anyone can say they know something. Show it. Create deliverables, samples, case studies, mock projects, portfolios. I have a whole thing about this. It's available in the podcast, in a YouTube video. It's also available on the website in the form of a full article. I believe that knowledge workers need to do show and tell, not just tell, show and tell. Create samples. It builds proof, it gives you confidence, and it gives clients and customers the confidence in you, or employers, that you can do it. Number 5, surround yourself with people who get it. Find a tribe of smart builders, doers, and thinkers. If you create a circle that is full of average minds, don't expect extraordinary results. You become the people you are around. So make sure that if you're looking to succeed, you're with people who have either succeeded or are in the same mindset as you trying to succeed. Don't hang around with the Debbie Downers who are like, that's not going to work. You're going to look like an idiot. You'll never get anywhere. You have to ignore them, and it may mean you need to change your circles. 6, stack small wins. Oh man, I talk about this all the time. Start with one project, of course, one client, one challenge, and prove to yourself and to others that the path less traveled does get results. And I always say, go for little wins. Little successes lead to bigger successes. You got to build confidence. You got to build momentum. Do what you need to do. Go for the low-hanging fruit. Get the easy wins. Quick little wins are the foundations of bigger wins. All right, we're going to make this a short one today. Have the courage to be different. That's another concept I've talked about and we'll talk about in greater detail. You need to have some courage. I firmly believe in having some courage and calling it like you see it. If you're going to be a sycophant, a yes man, you're going to fit in, you're going to just be average and you'll get average results. You sometimes have to have the courage to say, the emperor is not wearing any clothes. The emperor is naked. Okay? If you're not familiar with that fable, you should check it out. The Emperor's New Clothes. All right? So I'm going to leave you with this. Being average used to be safe. Today, it's the most dangerous thing you can be. I've said to a few colleagues, if you want to be exceptional, sometimes you have to do exceptional things. And even if you fail at doing the exceptional thing, there are going to be people who recognize that you at least had the courage to try and to attempt and to continue to persevere. So I'm not saying this to be edgy. I can't express it enough. You need courage. We're saying it because it's true, okay? If you follow the herd right now, you will end up broke, burnt out, and bitter that no one told you the truth. That you need to step outside the boundaries sometimes. I want you to consider this your wake-up call. You don't need to do what everyone else does. You don't need a degree to be smart. You don't need permission to live life on your terms. And if you want to succeed, you sometimes need the courage to be different. You need to think for yourself. You need to build what works now, not what used to work 20, 30, 40 years ago. At my Ford University, we're not here to pat you on the back for playing it safe. We're here to equip you to win smart, fast, and free. No debt, no drudgery, just skills, thinking, and results. Listen, it's a road that you need to walk if you want to go to the right place, okay? You're not weird. You're not, again, being a deviant. You're just saying sometimes there might be more than one way to do this, and I don't necessarily think doing it the way everyone else is doing it is the way to do it. You're early. You're ahead of the curve, because what will happen is once everyone sees how you do it, they'll start doing it that way too, and then you should be on to the next. So it's exactly where you're supposed to be. You want to think different. So I want to thank everyone for listening. If it resonated with you, please subscribe, share it with someone you know. Again, I always say, don't keep us a secret. And find people that are willing to think differently. And head over to myforduniversity.com where you're going to find more articles, tools, and resources. You want to learn it fast and apply it faster. So until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and keep building the future your way. Thank you.